Welcome to TMZ Live. In the Nolan Wells case, I think a very significant development. The Mississippi State Medical Examiner has completed the autopsy on Nolan Wells. We told you that there was a second autopsy. Actually, it was completed before the first one and done by the family. And the cause of death there was undetermined, although according to the family lawyer, Ben Crump, the medical examiner they used privately did not rule out foul play, but on the other hand, apparently has not found foul play. There was a discoloration on his skull, which could involve foul play, but it also could be something like blood pooling when the body was on a slab at the morgue. So we don't know. Right now, there are really no conclusions, at least that have been made public. The official autopsy results remain sealed. They will not be released probably for a while because the DA has already said this case is going to go before a grand jury. And the grand jury is going to, I think, do a couple of things. One, they can subpoena witnesses because remember, the sheriff can't do that. If the sheriff goes to somebody and asks, hey, we'd like to talk to you, the person can tell the sheriff to take a hike. The grand jury, they can subpoena somebody, put them under oath, and they either testify or they take the fifth. But they can force somebody to sit and presumably talk about what happened to Nolan Wells on July 4th. So I think that's where we are right now. That grand jury, by the way, has the ability to indict, but again, we don't know what the grand jury is going to do, whether the DA is going to complete the entire investigation and then go to the grand jury and then ask the grand jury to indict, or whether the DA will go as far as the DA can and then say, we need you to get additional information.
Yeah, so they'll start with the investigative phase. To your point, they can compel witnesses to provide information or to testify. They can also compel individuals to give records up to the investigative grand jury as well, which could open up things like text records. I know that they can get those from the phone companies without the grand jury, but it makes it a lot easier to be able to go directly to the source to get information that they might want as an investigative matter. Then, depending on what they find, to your point, they can absolutely convert that into an indicting grand jury, and they can try to get indictments against any potential wrongdoers.
Or, and we have to say this, and I think it's important to say, or they can conclude this was a tragic accident and that there's no criminality. And I think people have got to remember that is an absolute possibility on the table here because there's been a lot of chatter online and by various people, who have gone to the media, but there is no clear path right now to any criminality that at least has been disclosed, except for one thing. There's already been an arrest, but the arrest doesn't have to do with Nolan Wells.
Not related. Yeah,
right.
So we know that all the boys that were originally a part of the 3 boats that went out to Horn Island on 4th of July with Nolan, all those boys, we're told, have been cooperated behind the scenes with police, but have been receiving an overwhelming amount of threats, not just them, but also their family as well. The family of Warren Hudson, specifically his mother, who is a judge who, the internet uncovered pretty early on when trying to piece together all the pieces of this case. She, we're told, got a lot of threats, specifically from this one man who is known as a Sacramento area man, was arrested. And we know that the FBI had been looking into a lot of these threats. A lot of the families have been threatened, some of them credible, some of them not. But they are showing that this is very serious. They're taking these threats very seriously, and this man is behind bars. And
there is something else that one of the boys who was friends with Nolan, his dad talked to the New York Post and said they are considering filing a defamation lawsuit against Ben Crump for insinuating that there might be foul play here and that these boys might be involved. Now, he has not filed anything yet,
And this is the same father that's actually married to the judge of, which is Warren Hudson's mother. And we did also get a statement from Dr. Benjamin Hudson a couple days ago, and he had said that he is willing to give, $50K to whoever helps lead them to a possible arrest and conviction of someone that may have contributed to Nolan Wells' death. And he was pretty upset, talked about all the death threats, said that their families specifically have been receiving thousands of death threats because of Ben Crump, during his press conferences saying things like, these boys, why did they leave him on the island? What happened? Talking about the audio, that dispatch audio that we had obtained, which was the dispatch audio to Cito when one of the boats was sinking, and you could possibly hear stuff going on in the background.
Here's the stuff in the background that's important, that there's a lot of talk that they said the word Nolan and he's dead. And if you try and hear that, maybe you can. But what we've kind of concluded based on video that we received is that Nolan was not on that boat, that's the boat at the beginning of the trip back from Horn Island.
Yeah.
And that Nolan is not on that boat, and that's the boat that went into distress a few minutes after leaving Horn Island. Nolan was not on that boat. ABC News is saying that authorities have said that there are two witnesses they've talked to that place Nolan on the island as late as 6 o'clock in the evening, long after that boat left, and that he had been drinking heavily. Now, I don't think that leads to any particular conclusion, except that it seems to basically eliminate those kids from anything that ultimately may have happened to Nolan, if it's all true that he stayed behind on the island, was drinking, people saw him, and the boat had long gone by that point, right?
Yeah. And I mean, it doesn't mean that somebody did not contribute to his death. It's, we're still looking at all the facts and hearing all the tips, but it's just exactly what you said, Harvey, excluding all the boys who had originally been accused on social media of having something to do with his death. It kind of eliminates that.
This is exactly why the DA needs to act quickly as it can, do a thorough investigation, and then be completely transparent. Because unless all that happens,
I disagree with you. The DA should not be driven by a flurry on social media, because that leads to bad investigations.
I want a good investigation, but the public outcry is going to be too great unless we come up full transparency here of exactly what they found.
If the DA starts to bend to social media, God help us.
Hey, this is Trent Out Loud YouTuber. I think the judge threats and the Benjamin Crump defamation lawsuit is just a distraction. I think it's incredibly telling that a white woman goes out and shows us the threats she's getting, and within days there is an arrest, but there has been zero arrest when it comes to the Nolan Xavier Wells case. Do you have any idea how many threats Christine has gotten? How come there's nobody arresting for the people that are threatening her?
Well, no, listen, you first have to determine if there's foul play, right? And I don't know that they've determined that yet. So you don't go out and start arresting people until you know, A, if there's foul play, and B, who did it. But just because there hasn't been doesn't mean there's not a real investigation behind it.
Agreed. But now let's talk about that picture that you showed up of the boat. We got that picture from Officer Tatum, former Officer Tatum. How do we know when that picture was taken? We have no metadata. We have no proof. How do we know that? And also,
well, no, but what the video? It's not a pic. We're talking about.
Well, he put out pictures and video. But
I know, but the video, we can align the video with the distress call, and he wasn't on that boat.
Yeah, but Harvey, how do you know? Has former Officer Tatum, has he provided you guys with the metadata? Do you know 100% when that video and those pictures were taken? Can you confirm to me right now that it was taken on July the 4th?
That's what we have concluded based on everything we've looked at, metadata, talking to people, and aligning it with the distress call. Yeah. Now, look, anything is possible. I'm certainly not saying it wasn't foul play, because I don't know. It's just, I think, jumping to conclusions at the beginning and starting to point fingers at people without really knowing. It may be fair, but what if it's really unfair and you're kind of tarnishing people who really shouldn't be tarnished? Shouldn't that be a concern?
I think if anybody who jumped to conclusions first was the Mississippi officers that jumped to conclusions 1 hour after finding his body and said, no evidence of foul play. They jumped to conclusions, not us.
Well, I think that's fair. I think that's fair.
They just want the truth.
I think that's fair. I also think there is a spotlight on them right now, and they know they better do a thorough investigation.
Coming up.
Senator Jon Ossoff from Georgia is an unquestionable rising star in the Democratic Party. Charlie had about 8 seconds to fire off a question.
A lot of people been saying that you've got BDE. You know BDE?
Be right back.
Senator Jon Ossoff from Georgia is an unquestionable rising star in the Democratic Party. And in fact, even though his poll numbers are low right now, just in terms of preferences, it looks like AOC and Pete Buttigieg way ahead of him. I think he was polling at like 2% in some of the primary states. Look out for this guy, because there are a lot of people who run, like Barack Obama, who came out of the blue and ended up capturing the nomination. Look out for Jon Ossoff. He is a star in the Democrat Party. He is a star in Congress right now. And I'm not saying agree with him or not, but unquestionably, he has a voice that people listen to, and it is a strong voice, which leads to a question that our TMZ DC guy, Charlie, wanted to ask him. Charlie had about 8 seconds to fire off a question and get an answer before the elevator door closed. Charlie chose well.
Hey, John, a lot of people been saying that you've got BDE. You know BDE?
Come on, my brother.
Yeah, a lot of people been saying you got, like, you walk with confidence, you carry yourself.
Only an Aussie
would
ask me that.
Right.
You doing okay?
I'm doing very good.
Okay.
Thank you very much,
Good to
sir.
see you, man.
Good to see you too, buddy.
Good to see you. Have a good one.
Catch you around.
The funny thing about the clip is, before Charlie asked that, there were some reporters who were walking way down the hall with him, asking all sorts of questions about policy. Nobody picked that up. This clip, this 8-second clip, is going around like wildfire right now. And by the way, you should know that he wasn't making fun of Aussies. Jon Ossoff told Charlie last week that he's half Australian. I think his mom is Australian. But it's something that's kind of going around. I mean, people are actually using that to describe Jon Ossoff. And I got to say, that's a powerful weapon in a crowded presidential field for somebody to kind of come off that way.
It kind of started with Charlie's interview a few days ago with John at the airport, and the people were commenting the way he walks, his swagger, the way he speaks to him, the way he can kind of twist our interactions with him into a stump speech, essentially. And they're saying this guy has swagger, and that translates into BDE.
I'm not a campaign manager. What he's got to figure out, I think, is that when you pivot a question immediately to talking about Donald Trump or talking about an issue, and you're not really like playing the game, that's not as effective as just getting involved in the conversation. And I've kind of seen him, and he's a serious guy, and he does lean into all of those policy things. But Obama kind of figured this out, and Bill Clinton figured it out. And they were both able to kind of have fun with reporters. And you're looking at Bill Clinton there. Bill Clinton changed the trajectory of his campaign when he played the saxophone on Arsenio Hall. And when you play ball that way, it really lands with the American public. So I don't know whether he's going to lean into that or not. I mean, there are a lot of serious things going on these days, but
I also think that the American people are hungry for a president like this after spending the last 12 years with geriatric men. They're looking for this kind of exciting energy of this handsome
He's 39
man.
years old.
Yeah.
He's 39 years old. Look out for Jon Ossoff.
Victoria Wyman from Scottsdale, Arizona, and I think that John Osman has immense amount of courage to be against the Iranian war, regardless of his heritage. I think that's quite interesting, and it's very courageous.
Yeah, I mean, I will say he's in a crowded field because about 80%, it's probably more like 75% of Americans are against the war right now, if you believe the polls. So he's actually in the majority on that issue, but he does speak out loudly. So the most shocking thing I have seen today is something that our sports department dropped a few minutes after I came in. Tony Romo is taking a leave of absence from CBS Sports. I am shocked. Now, you know that Tony Romo was cited for DUI, arrested for DUI a few days back after leaving a golf tournament. He refused to take a breathalyzer test. But when you looked at him, he wasn't obviously drunk. There's something going on, and they did find a bottle of alcohol in his car that had been partially consumed. We don't know when or by whom, but I did not think CBS was going to do this, but they have now benched him.
They have, and that's indefinitely. So we don't know. NFL Week 1, that Sunday is September 13th. There's a chance that J.J. Watt, who's replacing him in his absence, is going to be with Jim Nantz, which would kind of be telling that possibly CBS is looking to move on with Tony Romo completely.
Because he has a $180 million contract with CBS.
He does, and there's still 4 years left on that, but you have to wonder if they're just going to eat that money, pay him and move on. Because
over a DUI?
No, because over the years, it's been progressively getting worse. The criticism has been getting a lot louder with Tony Romo because people can't really bear to listen to him. You know, early on in his...
I thought he was doing great.
Early on, as an analyst, people were upset with him because he was spoiling plays. He's like, this is what's going to happen here, because he is so knowledgeable about the game. It seems like they've told him to cut back a little bit, and he doesn't know how to adjust. Therefore, he's just kind of in no man's land trying to call these games.
So wait a minute. So you're saying they're using the DUI as an excuse to pull the plug in his contract?
The narrative right now on social media is like Tony Romo did CBS a massive favor.
See, I think that if they do that, and then Tony Romo can point to more serious things that have happened to other people that CBS has employed that they've kept on, CBS will have a problem. And I think there are a lot more serious things over the years that have been tolerated than a DUI that I think is going to get knocked down to something less than a DUI.
Yeah, so suspended indefinitely or on leave indefinitely. He has a court date, September 21st. The NFL season will be going on. So in the meantime, we'll see J.J. Watt, who a lot of people seem to like or at least tolerate a bit more than Tony Romo. But we'll see how this plays out for sure.
Ash from New York City here. Tony's not having a good time. I mean, he just wanted to go visit his grandparents and now he's on leave from his job. I don't think he deserves this. Personally, I rewatched the video. He did seem very coherent. He was doing yoga poses that I can't even do sober. So what about that?
Well, here's the thing, though. They actually got a warrant and they drew blood. So they do know what his blood alcohol level is. We don't know. They haven't released it yet. But that's going to be relevant in this case.
Coming up.
Somebody has decided to join OnlyFans, and that is Donna Mills. You mentioned you want to give the fans what they want. I'm not sure how familiar you are with OnlyFans, but what the fans may want is more than watching you cook and clean.
You know, then I'll have to make a decision.
Be right back.
TMZ's got every freaking thing. Big celebs, big stories, big events.
Donnell Rawlings took TMZ DC on a city tour.
You know what the irony of this is? A black man takes a white person to the White House.
It's TMZ.
So OnlyFans is populated by lots of people who are 19, 20, 21, 23 even. But it is not restricted to that. There is no age limit on the upside on OnlyFans. And somebody has decided to join OnlyFans, you might say belatedly, but I don't think she says that. and that is Donna Mills, the star of Knots Landing and other shows. Donna is 85 years old, and she is now in the game in OnlyFans, and she is joining us right now. Donna, I'm so excited to talk to you. Welcome to TMZ Live.
Thank you. It's nice to see you.
I've been such a fan for so long. You'll never remember this, but there was a restaurant called Hamburger Hamlet in LA, and I remember once seeing you there like 25 years ago and thinking, oh my God, there's Donna Mills. I was so excited.
Oh, that's very sweet. I remember the restaurant, yeah.
I know. So listen, so we got to talk about this. So you have joined OnlyFans. You are 85 years old. So what caused you to get in a young woman's game?
Well, they came to me, OnlyFans,
Really?
and yeah, and said, "Would you like to do this?" And I didn't even know what it was, and they said, you can do it to your taste, to what you want to, do. And I said, well, yeah. I mean, for a long time now, I've wanted to connect more intimately with my fans, because I have found from this podcast that I do how devoted the fans are, how much myself and our other cast members and that mean to the fans. And I just wanted to be able to communicate with them. I wanted to be able to talk to them. I wanted to bring them into my life, because that seemed very important to them. So that's what I'm going to do. They're going to see behind the scenes. They're going to see me at home doing stuff that I do,
So is this kind of like the Truman Show? I mean, is this kind of a day in the life of Donna Mills? Is that what we're talking about?
Not just, no. That will be part of it, because the fans seem to like to, see you doing different things and stuff like that. So I'll do that. But there are also photos, new photos, old photos. Back in the day, I did a lot of never naked photos, but shall we say sexy photos. And so I've got a lot of those that have never been seen. So we'll be having those on the platform. We'll be having a lot of just a lot of stuff. We'll kind of take from the audience what they're looking for and what they want.
Okay, so that does bring me to what the audience wants. First of all, for those of you who don't know, Donna was a major sex symbol. And I got to say, I'm looking at you, and it is not computing to me that you're 85. So I just want to put that out there. But you mentioned you want to give the fans what they want. I'm not sure how familiar you are with OnlyFans, but you were a sex symbol back then. You look amazing now. So what the fans may want is more than watching you cook and clean.
If they do, they have to let me know that. Then I'll have to make a decision, whether I want to do that or not. But I don't want to give them that if that's not what they really want. I mean, I think there are people out there that think, oh my God, I don't want to see an 85-year-old's, birthday suit.
What if okay, hold on. What if they do? Because there are people who will absolutely say they do.
Oh, well, then I'm going to have to think about it.
Really? So you're saying there's a chance?
Who knows? Don't we just go along with what life brings? And if I don't know, my first answer would be, oh no, I won't do that. But then my second answer is, I don't know. I don't want to do anything that's salacious. You know what I mean? I don't want to do that. That isn't my personality. That isn't what I feel good doing. But if it's cute and sexy and like that, We'll see. We'll see what the fans want.
There's a total audience for that. And look, we've done documentaries on OnlyFans and have talked to people. And what happens is they start out, on one level, and then people keep wanting to raise the ante. So, what may start out PG ends up R or beyond. And so I got to say, look, I'm not a prude about this. There are plenty of people who are into, women who are not in their 20s or 30s or 40s, but beyond. And I have a feeling there's an audience for that. I'm not advocating one way or the other, but when you do this, there will be an audience for that. There will be an audience for that.
Yeah, well, then I'm going to have to decide, if it's something that I feel comfortable doing. And OnlyFans is very much, when they came to me, they said, we don't want you to do anything that makes you uncomfortable. If you're comfortable with it, fine. If you're not, you don't have to do it. So we'll see where it goes. There's really no way to know. This is a whole new adventure for me. And that's the thing, people ask me, how do I stay so young? I think I stay young because I'm curious. I'm curious about new things in life, new adventures. This is totally new for me, and I'm excited about it. I'm thrilled. I can't wait.
So, got to tell you, you are a good marketer. The fact that you're ambiguous about this, you're going to do really well in this, Donna.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I'm so excited to talk to you. I've been a fan for so long. It's really, really great talking to you.
Thank you. And, it's so funny. When this broke, I guess they sent out a press release or whatever they do. You were the first people to call, 7:30 yesterday morning. And I thought that was I loved that. That was so sweet.
That's a reliable TMZ for you. We really appreciate it and wish you the best of luck on it.
Thank you, Harvey.
Thanks, Donna.
Coming up.
Nicki Minaj certainly doesn't have the same view of Dr. Anthony Fauci that I do. She torched him on social media, saying he will be reduced to eating out of a feeding tube. He will lose his ability to speak.
Be right back.
Welcome back to TMZ Live. Well, Nicki Minaj certainly doesn't have the same view of Dr. Anthony Fauci that I do. She torched him on social media. I will just give you a few highlights, saying he will be reduced to eating out of a feeding tube. He will lose his ability to speak, and he will feel the collective pain and long-term ramifications he caused to newborns, young children, and many other people struggling now with mental health, suicide, people turned away from hospitals. So she is going after him. The photo shows him writing in a diary, and as you know, Rand Paul has released portions of the diary that Anthony Fauci actually wrote during the COVID pandemic, and has used some of that in the hearings and before that as well. So there's a dividing line on Anthony Fauci. And it's very clear Nicki Minaj is on the side of Rand Paul and wants that pound of flesh from him. I would only say that, if the idea here is that the COVID vaccine, and that's one of the things that she's railing on, talking about how it's hurt people, that if the COVID vaccine has caused these problems, and therefore Anthony Fauci is a monster, I would point to something that happened when I was a kid, which is the polio vaccine. And the reality is there were complications from that too. There were people who died. There was paralysis in rare cases, and there were other problems with the polio vaccine. So you could argue, well, then that Jonas Salk, who developed the polio vaccine, is the predecessor of Anthony Fauci. But I don't think a lot of people are going to argue that, especially the millions of people, myself included, who were spared polio. And then the question is there a correlation here where you can look at the COVID vaccine and say, yes, there were complications, but overall, did it benefit society? By the way, Donald Trump's the guy who co-signed on that vaccine and said it was one of the great things that happened in his administration.
And what medication, Harvey, does not have side effects? Medications have side effects. That's the way it goes.
Can't think of any.
Right. I think the issue is that people perceive him as trying to hide some of the side effects or some of the complications that could come with the vaccine because he wanted everybody to take it. And I think that's what
he was saying it's safe.
He was, and I think
not foolproof,
but I do think if you read the diary, and he was accused of this at the time, but there was no smoking gun. I think people think that he tried to keep a lot of that out of the public sphere. He didn't want that talked about because it would dissuade people from getting the jab.
But they also, here's the thing about it.
You've got to be honest. He's got to be honest as a doctor and a scientist.
They didn't know until they tried it because this vaccine was fast-tracked.
Right.
So that they didn't have the data at the time to know the full effect of what would happen to millions of people, once the vaccine
and I agree with you.
was
and
in
if that's
wide
the case,
use.
then he should look. He's a doctor, but it's not like the know-all. So doctors don't know everything. So if they didn't know it at the moment in real time,
here's the thing.
They should be held accountable.
He said it was safe, and it is safe. There are side effects, there are complications. But if the answer is until it's foolproof, we don't give it to anybody,
then there's no
there would be
vaccine.
millions of people who would have died and not 1 million.
I think it's the school closures. It's kids. I think it's that stuff.
I agree with that.
I know you do.
But to demonize him the way they did, to me, is just, it's awful.
Yeah, the thing where I would disagree with you is just because he did something good in the past in saving a lot of lives, that doesn't make you immune then from repercussions in the future.
I have a problem with some of the things he did with COVID.
I know you do.
But he did a lot of good with COVID.
Yeah.
He did a
With
lot
COVID,
of good with COVID. With COVID.
Hey, Harvey. Hey, guys. It's Matt in Florida. I just came back from the bar exam, and this just sounds like a fact pattern that I just like random things that just compile together. This sounds like
you got to stop. You got to stop. You got to stop. You just told me something. Where are you?
Florida. I just came back from the Florida bar.
You just took the Florida bar?
Yes.
How many days?
2.
Where'd you go to law school?
Nova in Fort Lauderdale.
Yep. I taught at University of Miami. So do you think you passed or not?
I don't want to jinx myself. I am telling myself every morning that I'm an attorney now. Yes.
Okay, just will that. Okay.
Yes.
I'm serious. You look super nervous. You look super nervous.
It's been like a whirlwind of emotions the last 4 days. I got back 2 days ago. It was the hardest test I've ever taken in my life. I've never used every second on a test ever before this one. The Florida bar is absolutely no joke. And I apologize for going off on a tangent because
No.
Anthony Fauci.
No, the reason I'm so interested is I took the California bar, and then I went immediately to Florida, and I taught at University of Miami Law School for a year. And I would have been there today, except I could not imagine having to take another bar exam, and it's the only reason I went back to California. So I would have stayed in Miami, but it was such an awful experience. So I feel you. Good luck.
Thank you. If you still like my opinion on the Fauci thing,
Now we're out.
Coming up.
This is a big development. Courtney Clenny, the OnlyFans model, accused of murdering her boyfriend Christian in just a violent struggle where she stabbed him to death. She has taken a plea deal.
Be right back.
Well, this is a big development. Courtney Clenny, the OnlyFans model, accused of murdering her boyfriend Christian in just a violent struggle where she stabbed him to death. She has taken a plea deal. She was charged with murder, faced life in prison, but she always claimed self-defense. This was a volatile relationship that she had with Christian. They lived in Texas before moving to Miami. There were neighbors we talked to who said that the building would literally shake with the fights that they would have well into the night, and they were known for it. And it continued in Miami and ended in their penthouse where Christian was stabbed to death. Courtney came out just a bloody mess. There's body cam video of this, and it's just hard to watch. But she claimed self-defense. Parents were by her side the whole time.
Yes.
Now she's going to take a plea.
Yes. Right before the plea, actually, the last couple of weeks, her lawyers were trying to make the case, like you were saying, that he was very violent. They were also saying that he had an arrest warrant out for him for animal cruelty. So they were really going hard in the last couple of weeks before the plea deal.
You know, the animal cruelty thing is really interesting because it may not be relevant in that case, but if it ever gets before a jury,
correct,
juries don't like hearing that.
Animal abuse is not okay.
And you know, putting the alleged victim on trial is something that is done a lot, especially in her case where she says it's not an alleged victim, he's the perpetrator.
Correct.
According to her, and that she was acting in self-defense.
Self-defense.
We don't know what the plea is.
No, not yet. Next week, there will be a hearing.
I am guessing that this will go down to manslaughter.
I believe that she worked out a good deal.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with you. I think this is going to be a manslaughter type case. I would not be surprised 10, maybe 15 years, which is better for her certainly than life.
Hi, I'm Amina from Cliffwood, New Jersey, and I really think that she needs to be in jail. She always seemed like the abusive one to me. I really am interested in hearing what this plea deal, ends up being, but she always seemed very abusive to me, and somebody ended up dying because of it, and it's sad, but I think she should be in jail.
They were mutually abusive. I think the big issue is what happened during that fight. What happened then? Because there's no doubt there was mutual abusiveness in that relationship. It was just unbelievable. The day he died is the question.
Coming up.
The plot thickens in the Mitch McConnell disappearance. There is something with his wife, Elaine Chao. Look at this picture of her in the hospital on July 26th. Now, compare that to July 14th. She's wearing the same shirt.
Be right back.
Okay, the plot thickens in the Mitch McConnell disappearance. We have not seen him or heard from him in a month and a half, and he seems to be either in a rehab facility or a hospital. These pictures seem to suggest that he's at least alive, but there is something with his wife, Elaine Chao, that is curious. So look at this picture of her in the hospital on July 26th, and look at what she's wearing. Now, compare that to July 14th. She's wearing the same shirt. Now, that may not be anything, to write home about, except her friends are saying that Elaine Chao is so highfalutin, she does not repeat that frequently with clothes she wears.
Yeah, there's two things that are interesting here. The first is that apparently it's a much less expensive shirt than she would typically wear. That's from a brand called Chico's. Apparently it's $15.
Nope, $12.99.
$12.99?
Yeah.
Well, with tax, we get that there. But in any event, but she was wearing it on July 14th. That part's not in dispute, so clearly she does wear this shirt. But her friends say, A, they're stunned she would wear something from Chico's, and B, she is the most well put together person, and she would never wear the same, especially inexpensive shirt, twice within a 2-week period.
And here's how I would discount that.
Yeah.
Number one, if you look at her on the 14th, she's clearly wearing that shirt.
Yeah.
So whatever, she bought a $12.99 shirt. We know that. Why would she be wearing it again in the hospital? Because she's probably not going home all the time to change.
Yeah.
And it was a convenient shirt to wear. So I can discount all of that. What I can't discount is if Mitch McConnell is okay such that he should continue to be a senator, then bring a video camera in there and show the people of Kentucky that they are getting taxation with representation.
What we're doing, we're in the absurdity now. Not only won't they bring a video camera in there, they won't even give us an update. Like, here's what he's going through, and we expect him to be released on September 1st, whatever it might be. We have a right to know.
You cannot jump to any conclusion other than there is something seriously wrong with Mitch McConnell, and they don't want us to know.
I have a problem with the president doing this as well. We have a right to know what our politicians are going through.
Yep.
Jessica Brown, Charlotte, North Carolina, and I completely agree. At this point, the constituents of Kentucky deserve fair representation. I feel like if it's that honest of he's in rehab, let's see him actively in rehab. These stage photos tell us nothing. We're getting all this misinformed information about he is in rehab. There's still the coverage at the hospital, all of these other things that are happening. We really need to pay attention to the fact that in Kentucky, they actually have to make a decision of him resigning by August 3rd in order for there to be that special election that then allows them to appoint someone else, because the governor cannot appoint someone. They actually have to vote it in. If they do not do this by August 3rd, then that position remains vacant through January 2027.
I have a feeling it's going to remain vacant. That's my sense. What else you guys want to talk about?
Hi, I'm Chevy from Houston. Nicki Minaj. I think this is another example of how celebrity comments about public figures can quickly become bigger than the actual issue. People are free to criticize government officials or disagree with policies, but when the rhetoric becomes extremely personal or graphic, it shifts the conversation away from the real debate.
Yeah, and it's gotten toxic, I gotta say. One more.
Jay King from Dallas, Texas. Man, I want to say this about Tony Romo, because I am from Dallas, Texas. Man, you're a big public figure. You once were America's quarterback, and you chose to make the worst mistake of your life and mislead, representing us. You should have had a driver, so you deserve whatever consequences that come with what you did.
Wait, the consequences for drunk driving are in the law. Whether CBS drops him, with the contract that he has, that's not in the law. That's going to be, I think that's going to be a real issue if they do drop him for good, because Tony Romo is going to come back and say, well, look at the people you kept.
Coming up.
Cristiano Ronaldo is taking some well-deserved time off. He is in Mallorca with his teenage son and Georgina, who, by the way, may become his wife tomorrow.
Be right back.
So Cristiano Ronaldo is taking some well-deserved time off. He is in Mallorca with his 16-year-old son. I forgot he had a kid that long ago. 16-year-old son and Georgina, the woman he has been with for 10 years. And there are stories out that they may get married tomorrow. So she waited 10 years, but it looks like she's sealing the deal. In case you don't know, he actually met her 10 years ago when he was shopping at a Gucci store. And she was one of the clerks there, and he spotted her and looked at her and said, "You are the one." And it turns out that that may well be the case. It looks like they're getting married this weekend. Speaking of this weekend, have a great one, and we will see you Monday.